Emmanuel Lutheran Church, and it's Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and it's time for our Bible story. So today's story is called A Giant Staircase to Heaven. And I am reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, and it is written by Sally Lloyd Jones and illustrated by Jago. So how is your day going so far? We just concluded worship, and we didn't get the whole thing in. Sometimes we make mistakes, and we didn't get part of the ending of our worship service. So hopefully your morning is going well, and you're giving God glory. So let's read A Giant Staircase to Heaven. The Tower of Babel from Genesis 11. Noah and his family lived in the land, and his children had children, and those children had more children, and then those children had even more children. Well, you get the picture. Until there were lots of people on earth once more. Now, back then, everyone spoke exactly the same language. So you didn't need to learn Swahili or Japanese or anything, because you could say, hello, to anyone, and they knew what you meant. One day, everyone was talking, and they came up with an idea. Let's build ourselves a beautiful city to live in. It can be our home, and we'll be safe forever and ever. Then they had another idea. And let's build a really tall tower to reach up to heaven. And so you can see this top photo, or everybody's saying, hi, hi, and they're understanding each other. And here, in this other picture, you can see they're starting to get a ladder. They're having an idea, and they're getting a ladder to build a very high tower. Oh, and now the book turns, so you got to read it long like a ladder. Yes, they said. We'll say, look at us up here. And everyone will look up at us, and we'll look down on them. And then we'll know we are something. We'll be like God. We'll be famous and safe and happy, and everything will be all right. So they got to work. Brick by brick, the tower grew higher and higher until it soared above the city, touching the sky. They built stairs in the tower to climb to the top. It was like a giant staircase to heaven. Look, they cheered. We're the ones. See what we can do with our very own hands? They were quite pleased with themselves. But God wasn't pleased with them. God could see what they were doing. They were trying to live without him. But God knew that wouldn't make them happy or safe or anything. If they kept on like this, they would only destroy themselves. And God loved them too much to let that happen. So he stopped their plans. So here, notice how the book has changed direction, because they built a tower really, really high, and you can see the clouds, that the tower was growing higher than the clouds. But that didn't make God happy. One morning, they went to work as usual, but everything was different. Their words were all new and funny. You see, God had given each person a completely different language. Suddenly, no one understood what anyone else was saying. Someone would say, "How do you do?" and the other person thought they said, "How ugly are you?" It wasn't funny. You could be saying something nice like, "Such a lovely morning," and get a punch in the nose because they thought you said, "Hush up, you're boring." You couldn't even say pardon to check if he'd heard you right because no one understood that word either. It wasn't easy to work together after that, as you can only imagine. People were always quarreling and fighting and getting in a dreadful muddle and becoming grumpier and grumpier until at last they were all too cross to keep on building and they just had to stop. You can see here how things just aren't going well. Can you see that? Things aren't going well. And here, somebody's getting bumped on the head with one of the sticks. Not going well at all. After that, people scattered all over the world, which is how we ended up with so many different languages to this day. You see, God knew, however high they reached, however hard they tried, people could never get back to heaven by themselves. People didn't need a staircase. They needed a rescuer. Because the way back to heaven wasn't a staircase, it was a person. People could never reach up to heaven, so heaven would have to come down to them. And one day, it would. Here we can see that tower is abandoned. No one is there, and we can see a person walking away. Well, that's the end of the story for today. And remember, you're not alone. The rescuer has come and is with you right now. And that rescuer, do you know who that is? Yes, you're right. You guys are smart. It's Jesus. You are correct. And Jesus, my friends, loves you very much. Even when you're trying to do things that God doesn't like we talked about yesterday, God, Jesus, loves you. And so, Milena, you are deeply loved. Michaela, Lauren, William, Layson, Rosalie and James, Martin, Addison, Avery, AJ, Aiden, Rob, Emma, Grace. Jesus looks at you deep into your eyes, and Jesus says, "You are precious in my sight. You are treasured, and you are wonderfully made. I love you." Audrey, Quinn, Claire, Braden, Cataline. Jesus says, "You are mine, and I will be with you always because I love you." What a wonderful way to begin the day, is to know that we are treasured, to know that we are precious, and to know that we are loved. Children of God, I'll see you tomorrow. You have a wonderful day, for you are loved by Jesus. Bye.